Okay. Hello, this is Terry Wilburn, and welcome to day 4. Today I'll be sharing with you the secret of how to make money with your music online. Hello again, this is Terry Wilburn. I am a media production specialist and your music academy platinum instructor. I'm a home recording studio coach and author and I've created a way for you to make money online using the tools you have starting right now. Today I will be sharing with you the secrets, which I call divine principle number 1, and that is how to make money online with your music with what you have starting right now. Listen, there is a little saying in the business world, and that is this: use what you have to produce more profits today. Let me help you to understand what that means. So pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because you don't want to miss the secret that I'm sharing with you today. Because today we'll be talking with you how to make money with your music online, or in the mall, or in a kiosk, or on a show, on a tour, wherever you go. But I'm just giving you a principle that you can use online today. You know, considering what everything that's going on right now, a lot of people are sheltering in place. A lot of people have sheltered in place. A lot of people are staying inside. You know, times are very iffy, and the reason they're iffy is because the people around you have been iffy. You know, your network designs your net worth. I want to make sure you heard that. Your network designs your net worth. And what that means is that if you're surrounded by people who are always trying to pinch pennies, guess what? They're going to be pinching pennies from you, and you are going to be pinching pennies from other people. And let me help you understand that. I'm going levels deep today. I'm going deep, under deep, so you can understand what's really holding you back from making money online. Is that your 5 closest friends, I'm going to use a term we're all familiar with. In your circle of friends, who is the influencer? If it's not you, then look at who it is, whether it's a female or male, whether they're young or old, whether they're black or white, or any other ethnicity, whether they're educated or non-educated, traditionally trained or conceptually. Look at all the traits of that particular person. If you don't have a lot of friends, then look at the person who is now influencing you the most. And let's not use fictional person. We're talking about real people, real associates, real friends. They can be a family member. Some people are heard a man say that he has been in his life most influenced by his two men. That's his father and Jesus. And he said, I don't know who influences you, but those two men have been the most influential in my life. And this man has multiple awards, millions upon millions of dollars, and all kinds of great fame, okay? So he says that those have been the two most influential men in his life, and out of all people on living or dead. And so I'm asking you the same thing. Look at your network of friends and look at your net worth. So let's just say, speaking hypothetically about a random person, and it could be any number of persons that's alive today, is that if, let's just say Tim works down at Office Depot. Tim, he works behind the counter from time to time. He makes copies. He's in the back with his back brace on. He's building boxes, and he's putting supplies out on the floor. He's just doing his daily tasks. There's nothing wrong with Tim working at Office Depot or anywhere he works at. Everybody has to work somewhere. And I'm pretty sure Office Depot probably has a good job, maybe some good benefits. But, we're talking hypothetically about a imaginary person named Tim, because I want to outline for you a very real-life situation. And so Tim gets up every morning. He's there at 7 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. I don't know what time Office Depot opens. I haven't been there in a while. Let's just say Office Depot opens at 9. And Tim is there every morning at about 8:20, and he does his job. He gets prepared for the day, and he's maintaining his lifestyle. He comes to work on time. When he's at work, he's working. He's not doing a lot of fraternizing or talking or horsing around, should you say. Tim comes to work, he does his job, and he takes his breaks and lunch breaks on time. And Tim is what could call himself successful. And let's just say if Tim made $22,000 working at about $10 an hour, maybe $11 an hour, 40 hours a week. I'm just guessing, it can add up to somewhere around between $18,000 and $22,000. With a few hours overtime here and there. Tim is doing pretty good for himself. Maybe he has a girlfriend, or maybe he's single and has no kids. And so what would you imagine Tim's home lifestyle would be like? Would you think that he would be more efficient in his lifestyle, as far as how his apartment looked or how his car drive? What kind of car would you think Tim would drive? Let's just say if he drove a Honda Civic and it's a two-door. How would you think his car would look if he came on time every day, always did his job? He's friendly and polite. I'm not saying he's one of those guys that just kind of goes here and there and doesn't associate with anyone. There's nothing wrong with that. But Tim is always friendly, always happy, always helping people out. How would you think his car would look? Would you think it would look like totally messy and out of control? Or would you think he'd have like his car is not super tight or anything like that. It's not fancy. But would you think it would be dirty on the inside, junk and shoes everywhere and paper sacks and hamburger bags and all types of things, lollipops and Snickers, wrappers on the floorboard? Or would you think he'd have like a clean car? Maybe a box with some stuff on the back seat or something like that. But would you think he'd be like a junky, messy person, or would he be very efficient? Let's just guess and say that he'd be a very efficient person, right? Because I'm teaching you an illustration today about what we're talking about. Okay, so we know that Tim comes to work on time. He's a good employee. He does favors, and he has a pretty efficient car. It's not a great car, but it's clean. He keeps it nice looking, and it's not attractive or anything. He's not gonna be pulling over any ladies anytime soon. But he keeps himself in a crew cut. Nice dress. Well, should I say, well, casual dress, clean, and he's nice and polite. What type of friends would you think that Tim would have? I would say, let's just say if he had two best friends. One is from grade school, one is maybe a close cousin or something like that. Or, two buddies from high school. So they were all in the drama club, or they all in a chess club, or in the computer lab together. So they were best friends since high school. So let's just say he has two close friends, very close friends. And so on the weekend, Tim and his two friends, let's just call them Rob and Thomas. All right, random names. Not talking about anybody here. So Rob and Thomas, what kind of jobs do you think they would have? Do you think that Rob and Thomas would have jobs as, let's just say, roadside workers, or would they be, let's just say, at Home Depot's warehouse, or maybe at a Walmart? Or do you think they'd be chefs or fishermen? Okay, if you couldn't guess, excuse me, let's just say Rob and Thomas both had warehouse jobs themselves. And so Tim, we know, makes about $10 and $11 an hour, not minimum wage, but right over minimum wage. He does pretty good. He makes about between $18,000 and $22,000 a year on a really good year. He's single, or maybe he's dating or something like that, but he's not heavily influenced by personal family. What type of lives do you think his friends would lead? Let's just say that they both work at the warehouse across the street, which is Home Depot's warehouse and the Staples warehouse, or the Staples store. So they're all kind of in the same group or crew. So let's just say even if Rob made $11.50 and Thomas made $13.50, how much do you think they would all make a year? Even though they work at different stores, but they all kind of do the same thing, right? I'd say Rob and Thomas made anywhere between $15,000 and $18,000 a year. You say, whoa, hold on, what do you mean? I'm telling you this. Tim is the influencer in that group. He's always on time, so he is the one that brings Rob and Thomas together. They're his best friends, and so they all come hang out with him. He is the influencer in that. If you're the influencer in that group, then you're the top dog, so to speak, if I can use that terminology. Because you're familiar with that, I'm familiar with that, everybody's familiar with that, being the top dog or the ace of the group. So even though, they may not consider themselves, like hunks or whatever, or mafios or whatever people call really cool guys today, they may not be in the cool group of kids or young guys to hang out with, but, they're okay guys. They're normal, average guys. They're the nice guys down the block. And so Tim would be the high influencer in that group. And even so, even if he wasn't, they all would make around the same, anywhere between $1,000 Um, I think it's about, statistics say that 95% of who you hang around or your network of influencers will decide your income within about the range of about $2,000 to $5,000, maybe up to $10,000. And so even if Rob or Thomas was the influencer in that group, their incomes would all amount to about $15,000 to $23,000 or $25,000 a year, which to some is a great deal of money. I'll share a story with you. Then we'll go back to what we're about, illustration. I know a particular person. They shared with me that they now do, and yeah, I said it like that because this is my course. This is not about proper English speaking. I'm not going to teach you all the linguistics and nuances about the English language. And yeah, a course lecturer would down me for the kind of talking I'm doing, and etc. Who cares, right? So she's now doing anywhere between $40,000 to $60,000 per month. Okay, and already projecting multiple millions within the next decade. All right, at a round number of somewhere between 18 to 25 billion dollars within the next decade. All right, that's about $2 million per year for the next 10 years. And at the time when I was speaking with her about it, she said that she was now doing anywhere between $40,000 to $60,000 per month. All right, and so I want to share something with you, which is great money. Hey, people would be scarce to make that in a year, and she's doing what most people bring in an entire year every month, and sometimes 3 and 4 times that. And so, but she said to me, she said, the greatest time of her life is not now. She's saying that the greatest time of her life was when she made about $25,000 working as a waitress down at the Steak and Shake. And that blew my mind. And this is why she said that. She said because that made her happy serving people and being debt-free. At the time, she could take her vacation days. She knew what days it was coming. They didn't have much debt. They had a couple of cars they had already paid off, or maybe was paying a very minimal payment on it, on one of them. But she said she think they were paid off. They had an apartment which had kind of low rent. Their kids were either very young or they only had one child at the time or something like that. But she was saying basically they were debt free. Her credit was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay, and they could go and enjoy themselves. And her husband made about the same money at the time, and there was not a lot of bills and things that they could just go wherever they wanted to go, whenever they wanted to go. They could have fun for the whole 14-day vacation, all expenses pretty much paid for. They wouldn't have to worry about what they'd buy and all this other stuff. She said that was the greatest time of her life, and that she wished she could go back to that. Now, listen to what I'm saying to you. She's projecting now, within the next decade, somewhere between $15 to $25 million income for herself. And she's saying that she wished she could go back to the time where she made $25,000 a year being a waitress. And now she has her own business. She works for herself. I'll leave that right there because I don't want to tell you who that is. But anyhow, so the point is this. is that what you do in your net work decides your net worth. And she has now people in her net worth who have far more money and influence than she is. She is not the influencer in her group. Her influencers make 2 and 3 and 4, maybe 10x times more than her in some cases. But she finds herself now knowing the principles of running your own business, and of the things that I'm about to show you here in this course. That has redesigned her entire life. But now it's even though it's $40,000 and $50,000 and $60,000 a month currently, and it's pretty much all income, it's not as fulfilling anymore. And so my point in saying all of that to you is, let's go back to Tim, this illustration of Tim, and how Tim has a couple of friends, and they all make about the same amount of money. And like I said, I started off telling you that he didn't have any kids, or maybe he had a small child or something like that, but he didn't have any real relationships. Maybe he had a girlfriend. We were talking about hypotheticals. And so I'm saying all that is to say this, is that Tim and his friends enjoy their lifestyle. No, they don't have a Mercedes-Benz. No, they don't have a Cadillac Escalade. Let's just go down the list. No, they don't have a drive Lexuses. No, they don't have big gold watches and rings and gold teeth or whatever you want to throw in there. They don't have all the big speakers and the fancy radios and stuff like that. But I guarantee you, when Tim, Rob, and Thomas go out to have fun, even though you might consider them nerds or dorks or maybe just nice guys, average guys, when they go out to have fun, they're going to have fun all weekend long. They're going to enjoy themselves. They're going to enjoy their life. They love what they do because, they have virtually no debt. They're single young guys, and they're all employed. And so they work their job, and they do what they do, and they come home, and they enjoy their life. Maybe let's just say they're gamers. They buy they got the gaming chair, they got the big screen television, they got the microphone, they got the yearly subscription, they got all the plus packs that you have to buy. They have all that stuff, and they enjoy their lives. They got a subscription to Mountain Dew, okay? Anytime they run out, Amazon's right there at the door with a whole fresh pack, all right? So they love their lives. They're enjoying themselves. And so I said all of that is to bring it back to you, is that whoever you hang around, whoever is in your network, is going to considerably influence your net worth. And so if you're making, let's just say if you're making minimum wage right now, you bring home $15,000, $16,000 a year, or if you're working at a doctor's office, you're bringing in $40,000, $50,000 a year, whatever you bring in a year. Just look at what you bring in, and whatever you bring in, that's okay, because we all have to have a start there somewhere. When I first made my first $30,000, I thought I was rich. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be making $34,000 a year. Oh, such and such. And hey, that was great money. Hey, that is great money. Okay, you can do a lot with that. Okay, consider what I was saying about the young lady I was talking to in a coaching session, shared with me. That's great money if you can bring yourself to $30,000 a year. That's excellent money. And so, but when I got there, I realized that it wasn't enough. I wanted more. And so I began to double and triple my income. until it reached over six figures. And so anyhow, and I still want more. And it's like she was telling me, she's projecting, let's just break it down, forecasting feasibly, this is within reason and proof of the numbers, that she's going to pull in anywhere between 15 to 25 million in the next decade. Foreseeable. That's just foreseeable. It could be a lot. It could be considerably more than that. But that's just foreseeable, proof by the numbers. And what she's doing now, and nothing more. That's without having she doesn't have any employees. It's her and a service she hires to handle her paperwork, or to help her with her paperwork. She doesn't even have any employees. So oh my God. And so anyway, she was saying to me, but it's not enough. She said, you know what, Terry, it'll never be enough. And so she has plans to, tap out. If you ever watch a card game or into a casino or anything like that, I don't gamble, I don't do those type of things. But, if you ever watch a movie or if you go watch a YouTube video of a professional deck dealer, a professional dealer, at the end of the game or before the shift change, they always tap their hands and show their hands to the camera. So you're tapping out. And so she has plans to do that, to retire very early in life, to enjoy the rest of her life so she can get back to what she was doing when she worked at the Steak and Shake, which was enjoying her life. And so I'm saying to you right now is that the secret to you making money online with your music is to have a tap-out plan. Okay, a lot of people call it a bucket list. I'm not calling any kind of bucket list. I don't have a bucket list because I'm not planning on kicking the bucket. All right? You got a bucket list when you're planning on kicking the bucket. All right? I got a lot of stuff I want to do, and I'm not going to put it on a bucket list. I might put it on a list of things to do, but I'm not calling it a bucket list, because when you finish the bucket list, guess what you got to do? You got to kick the bucket. I'm not kicking the bucket, okay? And Lord willing, we'll live long enough to experience all those things. But when I do all of that, I have a peak plateau in my mind. I'm not going to share it here. I just share it in my mastermind course. But how to improve yourself daily to reach your ultimate goal. How to reach your ultimate goal. But even when I do that thing, when I do that one thing that I envision myself, which is the highest thing I could ever do in this life, when I do that, which I will, at a certain point in time in life, I'm going to write all new goals. I'm just going to keep going and going and going until that day comes where I go on to heaven. And so what I'll say is this. To you, what that means is that you need to start redesigning yourself by redefining who is in your network. And I'll just share this with you. I instantly, let's say, I'm trying to think about a reasonable number. I instantly 3x my net worth when I got rid of certain individuals in my network. Okay? And I know everybody knows somebody that they're close to that's holding them back from their destiny, from their ultimate highest self. And I'm not going to tell you who that person is. I'm not the one to do that here. This is not the time and place for that. But you need to think hard about where you're going in life, what you want to do. And I'm telling you, if you got somebody that's hanging on to you, they might be close to you. You guys may have been friends since high school, or maybe you grew up together, or maybe this person's a cousin or a very close confidant or relative. But I'm telling you, like I'm telling you, like I'm telling you, like I'm telling you, like I'm telling you, you know who that person is, and I'm telling you, hey, you might want to just, I'm not going to say X the person, I'm not going to say be nasty and like that, but what I will say is this, is that you need to consider yourself. Do you really want to hang around waiting for this person to jump on the bandwagon with you and what you're trying to do? Or do you want to just say, hey, you know, I don't think I can hang out this weekend, you know, maybe we ought to do it another time. And keep doing that until you have the power enough to say, hey, maybe we should just part ways. Now, I don't know how you're going to do that. I don't know the conversation you're going to have. Maybe you want to just kind of just slowly pull away from them. But the best thing to do is just to separate yourself from that person so you can just enter into the next level of your life. And I know the stigma that comes behind that. Trust me, I know. And let me explain something to you really quickly, and I'm not going to share it all here because I wrote a book, and I share that in another kind of course. And that course is called The Best Life Now. Or Your Best Life Now, excuse me. Living Your Best Life Now. And what I shared in that material is that when I was broke, and this is a while ago, when I was broke, busted and disgusted, all right, I had a lot of friends. Now listen to what I'm saying here now. I'm not saying I don't have friends now, because some of my friends now are more influential in business and in life. In fact, they're more influential now in business and life than I ever thought people could be. Those are the type of friends I have now. And so, but back at the time, there were a lot of people when I was staying over here in this kind of small apartment. And we only had one TV. We only had one half a car that everybody had to shove into. And we only wore these kind of clothes, and we only shopped over here, and I only went to this kind of church. There were a ton of people knocking on our doors, calling us, bringing us stuff, wanting to see what was going on, what we were doing this weekend, hey, and all this other stuff. And then when I cut a lot of those people out of my life, when I shared with my wife and I said, hey, this particular individual that we keep hanging around, that we keep going out with, they don't have a lot. And I'm not talking about, somebody's soul. I'm not talking about somebody's heart. Some of the best people on earth are what I would call God's people, okay? People who are loving and kind. They go to church and they help people out. But guess what? Those are some of the brokest people on earth. And when I started to realize for myself that it was more in life than me being broke, more in life than me being poor, more in life than me wanting to pinch pennies, more in life for my wife and my daughters, okay? More in life for me. Is that it was a revelation I received, and I shared that with my wife. One day we sat in the car after coming back from having spent the weekend at some friend's house who we went to go see a lot. We would travel across state lines to go see these people. And I thought about it, I said, hey, we're spending all we have to go visit these people. And I said, they're nice people and all like that, and they are very nice people. Very kind people that will give you the shirt off their back. But I'm thinking to myself, I said, hey, when we pulled up in the driveway, I said, hey, we're doing too much. It hit me like a ton of bricks. After a while you have that feeling. You don't say anything about it because you don't want to be rude. You don't want to be crass. You don't want to hurt people. You don't want your friends or your family or your confidence to think that you're better than they are, or you're downing them or something like that. But I said, hold on now. I wouldn't say every week, but let's just say every week going across town to visit Joe and Sue. And I said, hold on, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I enjoy their company, and we talk and we laugh and we joke, but I said, at the end of the day, we come back broke. And I said, you know, we spend a lot going to go visit them all the time. And, you know, we sat there, and it's like a revelation dawned on us. We sat in the car when we got home for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Time, like, we were just, like, sharing how we felt about it inside. And it was like a revelation I had. I said, hold on, we got to stop doing this, honey. We got to stop, like, today, right now. And you know what? My wife agreed. She said, you're right. You're right. We are giving a lot of ourselves to people. And we started going down the line about people we need to get away from. And guess what? We got away from those people. And as soon as we did that, we were able to go up, baby. And I tell you like this, I have never looked back. And, you know, I've seen some of those people, and they give me nasty looks now, and they give me snotty looks now, and, you know, kind of snide remarks, but I don't even care, because I know that, you know, they gave me the shirt off their back, it's because I gave it to them first. It's the same shirt, all right? And I'm tired of swapping clothes with people. It's time to go up and get out of here, baby. And that's what I'm saying to you, is that you got a lot of hangers on. You got a lot of dead weight on you. And you need to figure out who that is in your life, because I can't tell you who it is. I can give you a general roundabout idea of the type of person it is, but I don't have to do that. You already know for yourself who those people are. And however you do it, you know, I would say pray about it. You know, that's what I did. I prayed a lot about it, and God revealed to me the people that I needed to separate myself from. And I've seen those people since then, and, you know, we've had a laugh or two, but I'm not going to their house and hanging out and spending the night and all this other stuff no more. You know, I just don't have time for that stuff no more. Because if I want to do what I have to do, I have to associate with the types of people who are doing the things that I want to do. And I'll share something with you. I had a talk with, I had a coaching session with Eric Doppler. Eric Doppler wrote several best-selling books. One was 50 Best Fitness Tips or something like that. Anyhow, Derek is a international best-selling author and coach and speaker. And I had I did a conference call with him, a coaching session. And Derek began to break down for me some of the things. He asked me a few questions, and I answered questions, and we just basically went over some stuff that was going on in my life about how to get to where I needed to go to increase my earnings and what I wanted to do, which was to virtually change my entire business, but I needed to know what to do. And he just gave me some tips, and talked about some of the things that he did and how I can start applying that to my life right now. And one of the things he said to me was this. He said that there was, he used Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, and he talked about one of the things being conscious competence, and he was pretty much analyzing what I said, you know, the psychology behind what I was doing, and he said, okay, you have what's known as unconscious competence. He said, you understand what you're doing, you know it on an innate level, and you just don't know how you're producing those results. And he said, what you need to do is take further look into the things that you're doing, like your habits. We talked about that yesterday, and about the people that's in your inner circle, and about how you can start to perhaps, if you want to teach these things, and I told him I did, and which is why we're having this conversation now. But he said, what you need to do is start to first analyze what it is you do and why you're good at it or not good at it, and where you want to go. And then when I did that, we had that call. We talked for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, or something around that. Maybe it was about an hour, let's just say. And that was an hour that cost me about $300. So that was about a $300 phone call. And so I'd pay it again gladly, because that was the phone call that redefined my business life. And this is what I'm sharing with you now, is that if I hadn't have cut a lot of that weight off of me that we just talked about when I told you I had that revelation I shared with my wife, if I hadn't done that, there was no way I could ever pay for a $300 phone call. Okay? So virtually, Derek made that day $300 an hour. Can you imagine making $300 an hour? What type of money for 10 hours? Let's just say a 10-hour workday would be $3,000, and $3,000 for 7 days would be $20,000. Okay. Now times that week by 4, times that $20,000 by 4. That's $80,000 a month. Okay. Then times that by 10. That's 10 months. That's $800,000. So virtually by the end of the year, you made $1 million. Okay, if you can make $300 an hour. And so that's what I'm telling you about. Let's just backtrack. That's probably roughly about what the young lady makes. And so a lot of lawyers, doctors, attorneys, they make that kind of money. But guess what? Many of them don't. It's only the ones that know how to do, that specialize in what we're talking about today, that make that kind of money. But you don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer to make $100 an hour. But just imagine if you did that. And you're saying to yourself, man, I'd never pay for a $300 phone call. I don't care if you talk to me for 300 minutes, 300 hours. I'd never do that. But that's what I'm saying. I was once upon a time like that too. I thought, but guess what? That $300 an hour phone call is going to change your life. Trust me, it's going to change your life. Because it changed my life. Because it redefined everything that I was doing. It helped me to understand everything that I was wrong in my business life. The reason why I wasn't producing the results that I wanted to produce. And so now I'm saying to you this, that if you want to start to make money online, you have to first get rid of some dead weight. And you have to know what you want out of your business. And the only way to do that is to get that revelation. Okay, you might have to go pray about it. Because I'm an advocate of prayer, I'm not going to apologize to you here, If you want to cut your ties on this course, give me an email, I'll opt you out right away. Because what I'm sharing with you is the reality of the situation, that you might have to go into some long prayer. I don't know who you're going to pray to. I pray to God. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in the God of the Bible. I follow the tenets of the Bible, the principles of the Bible. And guess what? Much of the world does too. The world does not go around without following those principles. Because the principles are designed to work for those who work it. People who don't even know Christ as their personal Savior give 10% of their earnings to charity. Go check Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. Go check your local celebrity, your rapper, your influencer, your singer, your dancer, your entertainer, they give 10% of their earnings to charity. And that's called charity. They're not saying who they give it to, but a lot of them give it to the church. But even if they don't, even if they gave it to foundations, that's a principle from the Bible where it says, bring unto me all the tithes and bring it to my storehouse. That's Malachi 3 and 10, I believe. But it's a Bible scripture, and it's a principle that teaches that when you give 10% of your tithe, 10% of your all your increase, that's called a tithe. And when you do that, there's a law called reciprocity. All right, that means sowing and reaping. You might have heard of it. The law of sowing and reaping is reciprocity, where what you do unto others, it will come back unto you. Okay, it's like growing watermelons. You can't grow a watermelon with an apple seed. You can't grow an apple with an orange seed. You can't grow an orange with a lemon seed. What you're going to do if you want watermelons is you have to go plant watermelons, and you need seeds to do that. And there's another saying in business where it says that if you wanted a tree outside, if you wanted to plant a tree outside, the best time to have done it was 20 years ago. But if you haven't, when is the best time to do that? And the answer is right now. And so I'm saying this to you right now, is that if you want some trees out in your garden, in your business, the best time to have done that was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 3, 5 years ago. The best time to have planted a tree was 2 decades ago, okay? But if you want one outside right now, then the best time to do that, to go plant one right now, because all the seeds that you're planting is going to take time to grow. It needs time, it needs love, it needs fertilization, it needs water, but that takes time to produce something. And guess what? You can't go plant lemon seeds in your business or in your life and expect a blossom of cherries or strawberries or apples. You're going to get lemons. And we all know lemons are sour. But guess what? If you go outside and you find yourself having planted lemons, then guess what? There's another saying. You can take that lemon and make lemonade. And that's what I did. And now my wife makes the sweetest lemonade. All right? Because I took something very sour, all right, and made something very sweet and delicious out of it. And so that's one of the secrets I'm sharing with you today. And so what we talked about today was how you're going to start to make business with your music online starting right now. And you're going to do that by cutting some dead weight off of you, having a revelation about who is in your network so you can redefine your net worth. So anyhow, what I want to share with you in the next message is how your net worth is the secret of knowing your net worth. Is the secret of 10xing your network to produce a 10x. What I want to share with you in the next message is how to 10x your net worth. What I want to share with you in the next message is the secret to defining what I want to share with you in the next message is how to shape your net worth. What I want to share with you in the next message is the third secret that we talked about in the first message. When I said to you, I've shared with you 3 secrets that's going to help you make money online with your music. So be looking forward to that next message on tomorrow, where I share with you the number 1 secret on how you can start to make money with your music online starting now. And so make sure you go back and listen to this message and the other two that you should have received so far. If you haven't, you can email me at musicacademycourse@gmail.com or simply reply to this message. Leave a comment at the bottom. And I'll be looking forward to talking with you soon. This has been Terry Wilburn. Be on the lookout for that next message you will receive tomorrow about the number one secret you can start to do right now to produce results online to make you more money, to give you the lifestyle that you want and desire right now with your music. All right? Thanks for listening. This is Terry Wilburn.